Hello everyone, I am Durga Saujanya, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, MLR Institute of Technology. I am going to give the video lectures for the subject Embedded System Design. Our today's video session topic was Tasks and Processes. So now we are in 4th unit, which is Real-Time Operating System. In this, we are going to discuss about task, process and threads in today's session. So first, we are going to discuss about summary of previous session. In previous session, we have discussed what is kernel space, what is user space. So what are different types of real-time systems, like hard real-time systems and soft real-time systems, and different types of kernels also. So that is micro kernel and monolithic kernel. So we have discussed all these topics in previous session. In today's session, we are going to discuss about what is tasks and how can the tasks will be implemented in operating system, what is process, what is the structure of process, memory organization of process, process states and state transition. Now going to the today's session. In today's session, the first one is tasks. Task is defined as a program in execution or related information maintained by operating system for program. So task is nothing but a small unit of work which is to be done by the operating system. So operating system is mainly used as an application software or software programs which are used for maintaining the entire system. So it consists of so many software programs per number of applications. So in each program, the small unit of work to be done by the operating system is called as task. It is also known as job, and in some operating systems it is also called as a process. So depending on the operating system, we have named it as either task, job or process. So both the three terms task, job, process are having the same meaning, but they are used as interchangeably depending on the operating system used in that particular system. Job is nothing but the work that needs to be done. So here, as I said, the task is a piece of work, a small unit of work or a piece of work that needs to be done by the operating system. Whereas process is named as a series of actions that is done for a particular purpose. So here, task is nothing but the complete work, but it is a small unit of work. So that is the task. Whereas the process is a sequence of execution. So it consists of number of small units of work like tasks. It consists of a number of tasks, or it may be a one task, or it may be a number of tasks, but it consists of a series of executions. That is the process. And job is nothing but the work which is to be done. Next, process means it is nothing but a sequence of execution which is done by the operating system. It consists of a number of programs in one process or only one program in one process. It depends on the work to be done. So process requires various system resources like CPU for executing the process, memory for storing the code corresponding to that process, and associated variables and IO devices for information interchange, etc. So how can we implement all the software programs by using this operating system means, here it needs CPU for doing the execution of process, and it needs memory. So it uses CPU for execution of process, and it needs memory for storing the code part of the application and the IO units which are used for sending or receiving information through the IO devices. So information interchange. So this is the process. So process requires CPU for executing the process and memory for storing the code and IO devices for information interchange. So it is also known as an instance of a program in execution. So what is the program currently executed in the operating system is called as process. So it is known as instance of a program in execution. Multiple instances of same program can execute simultaneously. So like the same previously, a process can have only one program or a series of programs in execution. So there may be multiple instances of same program can execute simultaneously. In the same process, here if this is the process A, it consists of one main program. In that main program, we have a small programs, n number of small programs, and each are executed one by one or each may executed simultaneously. So here the process, in this process multiple instances of same program can execute simultaneously. The concept of process leads to concurrent execution of the tasks and hence efficient utilization of CPU and other system resources. Here we have observed that multiple instances are occurred at the same time. That means whatever the multiple programs in one process are executed at the same time, so that it leads to the concurrent execution and it will be used for efficient utilization of CPU and other resources. So the concurrent execution is achieved through sharing of CPU among processes. So here we have already discussed that the CPU is used for execution of each process. So if process A uses CPU for execution, so process B in the same time process B uses the IO units for getting the information. So after completion of process A execution, the CPU can be used by the process B. Or in the same time, if we are having the high priority for process B, so it will interrupt the process A and it will utilize the CPU. So therefore concurrent execution of the processes will be used for sharing the CPU among different processes. Next one is structure of a process. So how a process would be like this. So here in the process we may have a stack pointer, registers, status registers, program counter and code memory which is for that particular process. Here a process mimics a processor in properties and holds a set of registers. A processor holds a set of registers, a process status register and a program counter, a stack and code corresponding to the process. Here the set of registers are used for storing the data which is taken from the IO devices. Process status register is used for informing the status of the present process. Program counter is used for holding the next instruction in that process to be executed. Stack is used for storing the local variables and code is nothing but the main program of the process. Here a process which inherits all properties of the CPU can be considered as virtual processor, awaiting its turn to have its properties switched into the physical processor. So here the process is nothing but it is same as the CPU or main embedded processor or real-time processor. It is same as main processor, but it is not physically available in that device. So yes, CPU is available as it is a hardware device. Here the process is the software part intimated to that processor, which is nothing but it is called as virtual processor because it is not physically available with the program execution in this process. It is switched its properties into the physical processor, which is either CPU or embedded processor or real-time processor. When process gets its turn, its registers, program counter becomes mapped to physical registers of CPU. So whenever that process is executed in the CPU, So whatever the registers utilized by that process are mapped to the physical registers of CPU. So next, memory organization of process. Memory organization of process is, it consists of three regions. One is stack memory, data memory, code memory. As in the previous slide, we have already seen that the process holds the stack registers and process status registers and general registers and code to store the code part of program or process in the memory. So here this is divided into three parts. One is stack memory, data memory and code memory. So the stack memory is used for storing the variables which are used for stack in the process. That is, for storing the local variables which are used for that process are stored in the stack memory. And data memory, the data which is received by the or sent to the IO devices are stored in the data memory. And code memory is used for storing the code part of the process. Here we need to observe one more thing, which is the stack memory grows in downwards. That is, stack memory is started with the highest memory location and it is decremented as it is stack is going, because stack operates in the way of last in first out. So whatever the data last entered will be retrieved first. Therefore, the stack memory, when we are entering data into the stack, it is decreases. So the memory is going from highest memory location to the lowest memory location. Whereas the data memory, it is started from lowest memory location and it is going to the upwards. That is, it reaches to the highest memory location. Here we call this data memory as heap also. So we have one more type of memory in process, which is heap. Heap is nothing but the dynamic memory allocation used for the process. So that means whatever the memory which are not used for any other purpose or unused memory in the main memory. So wherever we have the unused memory, it is considered as a heap and it is dynamically allocated to any process. So the stack memory holds the all temporary data such as local variables to the process. Data memory holds all global data required for process. Code memory contains program code corresponding to that process. On loading a process into main memory, a specific area of memory is allocated for process. So when we are using the main memory for a particular process, just like process 1. So now currently this process 1 is executing. So that means before going to the execution state, so the process 1 is allocated with some part of this main memory. That is, a specific area of memory is allocated for each process. Stack memory usually starts at highest memory address from the memory area allocated for process. So like that, the data memory starts at lowest memory address from the memory area allocated. So creation of a process, the next one is process states and state transition. Process states is nothing but, here while creating a process in an operating system, it can go through a number of states. So first it should be created and next it should be taking the data whatever it required from the IO devices, data initialization, and next going to ready for execution and getting all the memory requirements which are used by that process, and after that execution. So creation of a process to its termination is not a single step operation. So here after execution the process will be terminated. So from creation to the termination, it is not a single step operation. It will consist of so many number of steps. So process traverses through a series of states during its transition from created state to the terminated state. Here from created state to the terminated state, the number of steps used in the process flow is known as process states. The cycle through which a process changes its state from newly created to the execution completed is known as process life cycle. So when it is created and until the execution, after completion of execution. So from created to execution, the entire process used for execution of any process of the operating system is known as process life cycle. Various states through which a process traverses through during a process life cycle indicates current state of the process with respect to time and provides information on what it is allowed to do next. So here these are the different states which are executed, which are going for execution of the process. So meanwhile, from creation to termination, there are so many states are there. So here from transversing from one state to another state, so they will be transversed from one state to another state with respect to time and or with respect to information. So depends on these two factors, it will be moved to the or transferred to the next state. Next, states of a process. As we have discussed that there are so many states are there in each process. First, new is nothing but the created process. So where the process is created, it is known as new state or created state. And next, the created state, the state at which a process is being created is known as created state. So operating system recognizes that a process is there. It should be recognized the process when it is going to the created state only. So in the created state, it is used for recognizing by the operating system only. It will not allocate any resources. It just recognized by the OS only. And next, ready state. In the ready state, it is incepted into memory and awaiting processor time for execution. So here in ready state, so whatever the resources required for the process, either IO devices or memory or data, whatever the resources required for that process are allocated to the process in ready state. So and next it is awaited for execution. So that is known as ready state. At this stage, process is placed in ready list or ready queue. It is called as ready queue. So we have a ready queue. Each process, after allocating resources, it will be going into the ready queue. So here we have process 1, process 2, process 3, like that. Next, running state. Next one is running state. The state where in source code instructions corresponding to process is being executed is known as running state. Here we have already discussed that in ready state, the resources are allocated to the OS and it is awaited for execution. So now when the process is going for execution steps, it is known as running state. So the source code instructions corresponding to process are being executed. Whatever the instructions written in the program for that particular process are executed. So that is called as running state. Running state is the state at which process execution happens. So these are the three main states, and we have another states which are known as blocked and wait. Blocked state and wait state. So we will discuss in the next slide. So here, whenever the process is created, it is known as new state. It is admitted and is going for the ready state, and after some timeout, after depends on the time or resources allocated, so it will goes to the running state. Next one is blocked state or wait state. Here blocked state or wait state is nothing but where a running process is temporarily suspended from execution. So while going on the execution, if any interrupt occurred to the process, it will stop the execution. So when any running process is temporarily suspended from execution, it is known as wait state or blocked state. So that means it does not have immediate access to the resources. Whenever it is going to the wait state or blocked state, it does not allocate it with the resources, it can release its resources. Blocked state might have invoked by various conditions like process enters a wait state for an event occur or waiting for getting access to a shared resource. So here there are two regions are there for going into the blocked state or wait state. The first one should be either any event or interrupt occurred to the process. Second one is if the resources which are used for that process are not available or waiting for getting access to the resources. And next one is completed state. Completed state is nothing but whenever the process execution is completed, it is going to the completed state. After this state, the process will terminated. So the state where the process completes its execution. After this, the process will terminated. So the transition of a process from one state to another is known as state transition. So here first it is in the created state and next it is going to the ready state when resources are allocated, and if resources are not available or any event occurs, it goes to the wait state or blocked state. Whenever resources available, it moves from wait state to ready state, and after ready state all are available, then it goes for execution state. After completion of execution, it will go for termination. So whenever changing from one state to another state, it is known as state transition. When a process changes its state from ready to running, or from running to block, or from terminated, or from blocking to running, so these are all called as state transition. So the CPU allocation for process may also change depending on the state, the current state of the process. The allocation of resources are also changed. So in this session, we have discussed the summary of previous session, that is about the real-time kernel, so which is known as kernel space, user space, and different types of kernels and different types of real-time systems. And in today's session, we have discussed what is meant by task. So how can we implement the task, and what is meant by process, what is the structure of a process, what is the memory organization of a process, and what are the process states and state transition. So remember, this is very important topic related to the operating system. So as this will be used in the next sessions also, please remember the process states and state transition clearly. So this is about the today's session. Thank you.